The Last of Us 2! Tulu 2! Tlu. It's kind of a fun acronym. Tlau. This game was really good. It was kind of bad too. The thing with games like this is like, I think each game has its strong suit. What are they trying to do here? What's their goal and accomplishment? Or some games just kind of go in all directions, which is fine too. The issue here is that it's so good, but where it does fall short, it falls hard. And normally when I play games, I'm like, you know, story, cool. Oh, it's pretty. Good music. Just, I kind of look at it all. I don't really like, micro focus on anything too specific, because that's a really easy way to like kind of ruin good things that can be good and that has potential, and it's just, there's no point in even going there, because you know, we don't see, you know, like that. We see this whole thing. So, you know, to look in it, to look out from it, left, right, up, down, in, out, like, that's the beauty of it. We're capable of seeing as much as possible to a point, right? We see in 4K, we see, we hear senses heightened. But this game, the issue is they were so story focused. And games like, I was just thinking about this the other day when I was getting a refresher from this, is like, you know, it's so good, the music is so good, the graphics, the characters, everything, and they took a really big risk, because some people get so micro focused on story itself, which is a big part of it, but just like anything or any game, any movie, that's only kind of like it's the main ingredient, sure, but you can't make something without all these other things. It just doesn't work that way. So I don't know, it's not so much that I'm trying to join them, but unfortunately, even for me, being as tolerant and lenient with a lot of things as I am, the story here, if you can call it a story, man, it hurt. Like it was like a deep cut. Because we all had this idea of The Last of Us got really attached. It was kind of a different time. It was a little bit slower of a time-ish. Ellie, Joel, I mean, the adventure, the journey, the quest. It's kind of like in a big, heavy, narrative-driven thing. Lord of the Rings, for example. Here it's like, what if Return of the King, what if that just didn't end up the way that it did at all? What if, you know, and that's the big question, what if? But what if for some reason something happened to Sam, you know, or like, it's just, people can't wrap their heads around that, and we get so attached and being emotional and sensitive people, which can be kind of a downfall for most. But we play this game and it's just, man, it's just dread and misery and sadness, depression, stress. Nothing like necessarily good. But with that in mind, like, you know, you gotta realize, like, it is a sequel. You take the direction they went with this is like, hey, let's take the first, let's just kind of redo it completely, the complete opposite of what could have been the sequel. And the funny thing is, whether you choose to do things this way or another way, you know, either way, it's a way. There is no right way, there's no wrong way, there's just a way. It's like when you hear parents say, it's my way or the highway. It's like, you know what? It's just, I don't know. One thing I like about this game is that it, for a more positive note, it did take a risk. It took a dive. It went with it, rolled with it. Do I condone it or glorify it? No. But I think it was a bold, brave thing to do, and I think that alone is just kind of a message all in of itself that, you know, don't be afraid to go there. Don't be afraid to be controversial. Don't be afraid to, like, not everything's by the book and standard and written, and that's the beauty of life, is that there's flexibility there. And on even another note, it's like, okay, well, you know what? Story kind of was so meh. But, you know, it is a sequel. It sets itself apart from the first one, which is its job. So that's just me justifying, like, hey, you know what? Like, it's still a really good game, you know? Other than the tidbits, the bits and pieces of, like, you know, boo-hoo, sad, wanna cry, which, you know, did happen here and there when I did play this, to be honest. But, you can't still ignore the fact that it's just a really well-made, pretty, gorgeous, beautiful, amazing, astounding, renowned, pristine, shiny game. The gameplay feels good, it's fun, I love exploring, I love finding things and looking around and being surprised, and you know, I get drawn to the characters, I'm enjoying it, it's like I'm watching a movie. The cutscenes.
Jesus. Almost gave me a heart attack.
I tried knocking, but...
Hey.
Hey.
What's up, Joel?
The cutscenes alone, which granted is probably a good half of the game, easy. Which, hey, if I get to, like, sit back and just kind of enjoy, and I'm all for it. It's a really, they do well with the pacing, cutscenes half the time, gameplay half the time, it's fair. And to be honest, when you're playing and exploring, you could spend a lot of hours, like, just making sure you loot everything, check every drawer, open up every locker, blah blah blah, get all the doors, some puzzles here and there, yada yada. But yeah, it could be a very slow, chill game, which is I'm all about. But man, the cutscenes alone are just, that really is what makes half the game. When you do a high production value AAA title like this stuff's very important. I love games like this. There is voice acting, there is dialogue, there is cutscenes, there is music, cinematic. This is like what I crave. I love hearing things, having things going on in the background, people alive. I love it when a game, as dead as a game is, it's not alive, you know, but these are real people recording their voices into these games, and I just love hearing it and getting perspective on everyone and everything else out there in the world. And you know, Naughty Dog's style of this is what they can put out. This is their masterpiece. It's not quite Crash Bandicoot. That's how I knew about Crash Bandicoot was Naughty Dog. You look at that game and look at this and you're like, huh. Sure. I mean, studios do everything anyway, right? They're not really defined by one sort of, like, thing. Most of them. They can be. They have their own polish and style or artwork. Formula. This game was great. When it did come out, when it did... I don't know, it was really interesting. Very controversial. Even the time that it did come around, you know, that's all kind of a whole nother subject, but yeah, it's really good. Even just playing it again lately, especially on next gen, just like, dude, I didn't think this game could look any better, and it did. As of right now, The Last of Us series just came out on HBO Max. TV series, live action. That's really good. I've been watching it. It's fantastic. So that's kind of cool. You get to, like, you got the game, you got the show. Like, this game's really made a staple in going down in history, winning Game of the Year, being controversial. I mean, I hate to say it, but there is such a thing as bad press can be good press, and it's an unfortunate thing that I don't really, you know, promote or anything, but it did its job. It got well known, it was talked about, and you gotta realize, like, this isn't the news, this isn't, like, a real thing, supposedly. This isn't, like... So there's no point in getting too butthurt about it, because, like, to be honest, it's a written, you know, fake, made-up video game story. I mean, dude, there's not much else to it, you know? Can it still be enjoyable? Yeah. It's not like I don't have a soul and a heart, and, you know, like, I still process these things just like anyone else, but at the same time, you gotta be a little bit more open-minded and be an open book. And but all that negative crap aside, I mean, dude, it's just really good. There's not it's that simple. Whatever shortcomings it had, the rest of the game made up for it. It's as basic as that. But yeah, even getting a refresher lately, I was kind of, when I replay these things and get this footage and all these things, like, you know, there's a lot that goes through my head. You know, what am I gonna say? What kind of mental notes am I gonna make, and all these things. And it's like, dude, as good as The Last of Us is, and controversial, positive, negative, whatever, I hate to... Another unfortunate thing is that it's just a very basic game. You know, other than clickers, and... because they tried so hard to make it real, and that's why the TV show works as well as it does, too, as well, because, like, you know, they really wanted to hit you at home here. Like, oh my god, this could happen, the cordyceps thing, oh. But yeah, it's nothing like... They do that so well that whatever supernatural elements are here, it's really hard to notice. Like, it's just people. They're doing their thing. It's not quite like The Walking Dead, where it's like, dude, these are zombies, you know, like... The Living Dead, I realize there's a similar concept here, but it is different. It's a different take, and yeah, the whole time I was playing this, I was like, wow, I could be here. I am playing this, and I could be playing like any other game, and it would be so much more of a wild, weird, simulated video game type experience. Like, honestly, when I played this again, I was like, dude, I love it, trust me. Like, there's that side of me that does love it, but it's so... it's kind of lame. I don't know. Like, obviously, there's a time for a game like this, and I get that. There's a time for games where you just kind of want to, like, oh, this is weird and wacky, wild, strange, completely out of this world, different, whatever. But yeah, so that's something to definitely keep in mind too, is that as great as this is, it's easy to compare things, but on its own, as it stands, it's just a really good film. It's a good game. It's a good series. It's a good mixture of what it, all the pieces that it took to build what is The Last of Us, and you know, it's pretty good. But with that in mind too, it's funny because a lot of the, you'll see this in some games too, like they'll have the mechanics, hold down triangle to do this, press X. Usually when you're doing stuff like that, it's to do very specific things and very regularly, and I don't know, in this game it's weird because like they tried so hard to make it this kind of big epic sit down kind of deal, and dude, half the things you're doing, you're just holding a button down to do this, to pull a string or something, you know? It's like, I think some of the gameplay they tried to put in here was kind of unnecessary. It's just like, dude, if you're gonna have me do that, just do it. Like, why are you making me work for it? You know, you're sitting there chilling, and then it's like, well, we gotta make the players feel like they're playing something. A lot of this game is kind of like a Telltale series style, where, you know, clearly they were going for this story stuff, but to make it a game, you know, let's make them press triangle, let's make them press X here and there. It's, I don't know, it's kind of a dumb little thing, but aside from that, sure, there is gameplay, like you actually move around all these things. Gameplay's good. You know, you're picking up stuff, you're reloading, you're customizing your guns, you blah blah blah. So yeah, I guess they kind of, you know, I imagine, I don't know what goes into the process of making games. I'm not a game developer, I'm not a dev. But it's just weird to think about games like this in its chunks and its categories and files, like, okay, we're gonna have them fully move around, 3D, somewhat open world-ish, kind of. That's a pretty limited statement to make. The cutscenes, and then kind of everything in between, like just pressing stupid buttons here and there. I don't know. There's a lot of games that do that. I just don't think I noticed it as much as in this game. But to be fair, it was just kind of a thing. I was like, well, you know, let me kind of write this down in my head. Like, it's not really a big deal, but it is something that does have to do with the game. Yeah. As of right now, unfortunately, there's no next-gen upgrade. But to be fair, it's because I played this on last gen. originally, and PS4 Pro, if that helps. And I don't even have a 4K TV or, you know, but I think aside from the monitor that you use, like when I played this game again on next gen, even just for a little while, the game already looks so great. And it's not even that old, but on a next gen console, it does look better. I mean, it'd be no different if this was on PC, you know, looking better there with the latest graphics card. It's just, it's one of those games, my point is, it's one of those games where it looks so damn good that, like, honestly, even if you have the best of the best as of right now, compared to what it originally came out on or whatever, there's not much of a difference there. I mean, it's noticeable, sure, if you're, I think if you're really looking for it, or if you can compare them in the first place. But let's say, for instance, you played this on next gen originally, you're gonna be, if you couldn't have been more impressed with last gen, you're gonna be just that much more impressed on next gen. Like, this game screams, hey, pay attention to me, graphics look good, pretty, detail, and I'm gonna give it the credit that it's due. So yeah, I mean, game looks fucking dope. I mean, the facial animations, the body movement, the body language, and then when you tie that all together with just the sound design and the voice recordings. The voice recordings, I will say, some of them, they try so hard to make this... Honestly, I hate, like... In my opinion, this is so comparable to The Walking Dead, it's kind of baffling. You know, when you're watching these cutscenes, they talk so quiet, and it's kind of tough. The audio options in this game are wacky. Like, you have a lot of audio controls, which is good, but man, it's almost too much. They even have a lot of graphical controls, and this is on console, by the way. Like, that's crazy, but sometimes they talk so quiet, and then it's so loud, so quiet. And that's pretty typical, but I feel like in a lot of games, they do such a great job at kind of equalizing everything out so well, whether it's like actually equalizing the process of doing that, or just the simple recordings themselves. Like, they are heartfelt. There is an emotion there with how quiet they talk, but it's like, dude, it's almost like they're just whispering everything. Like, they put so... That's something they had to do, I get it, but they I don't know, half the time when I heard Joel talk and stuff, I was like, dude, I can barely hear you, man. You know? And it really made me picture, like, Troy Baker and them in the studio, the recording booth, just like... I don't know. It's like I get it, but I'm not a fan of it either. Like, just talking that quietly, like... Even other PlayStation exclusives like this are really, really up there. All kinds of dynamic ranges of vocal ranges and pitch, and... I just... Even those games are just not as quiet. I don't know, like... God of War, Horizon... And obviously those are very different games, but it's that same quality here. And it's not... It can be too quiet. Which is fine. Because the thing with games being quiet like this, and streams, movies, voice acting, just whatever, it does make you pay attention to it a little bit more. It does make you want to actually listen to what they have to say, because they're not just yelling every little thing. And you know, in order to match the cutscene and the storyboard, you know, there has to be a tone there. And it's a small niche thing, but it's just me being picky. Yeah, there's not a really lot of, there's a whole list of positive and negative things, pros, cons, but it does so well as it does that you can't really deny that it's a great game. On top of what it can fall short on, yeah, I like it. I really like it. I'm glad that The Last of Us was made. I'm glad that it was created and I got to experience it. And these games create memories, you know. When they come out, like, what was life like? How old was I? Where am I living at the time? You know, what things am I interested in at the time? Because we change every day, but one thing that doesn't change is games. You know, when they come out, that is the game. And that's what I love about these single player story-driven PvE games, is that these games are here for you, and they're not just there to simply play like an online game, or they're really like holding your hand throughout life and being there for you when there may or may not be anyone else there for you. Or you could be having a down time in your life, you could be having a great time. Either way, this game's available to purchase for anyone and everyone, for you to just get and have a good time and enjoy it and get something out of it. Create your own memories. You know, there's a lot of games I've played where it's like I'll never forget those moments. I'm sitting in my room, the lights are on, they're off. I have this sort of TV, you know, it's great. This is definitely one of those games where you want to play it on, I can't imagine this on like a big, nice 4K TV, you got a sound system. You know, if you're gonna really make use of today's technology and where it's at, this is a great game to do that with. Like any game is, but this game will definitely do a lot for you of just your growth and your experience. So you'll be like, yeah, I played The Last of Us. I played The Last of Us 2. I watched the series, you know, I've listened to the music before. And you can have these conversations with other people, especially in a live streaming environment, comments, you know, make your own postings, and it's just fun. It's nice. It's a really cool way to be included. And as a gamer, you know, I'm glad this was part of my profile. I'm glad I got to have it in my thing. Like, just imagine yourself as a gamer, you know, like, yeah, I've played this, I've done that. That's pretty cool. Like, it's the games you play that really make who you are and are a part of you. And yeah, but yeah, it's what you expect. It is The Last of Us. It's more of it. It's just a good time. There's no real definitive answer to why someone should play this or not. But it is one of those things where just do it. Just do it. just play it. Don't even think about it. Just do it. You know, this game got as popular and as big for a reason. And it definitely deserves it. Did such a great job at I just love seeing the love go into the games like this, because really, like, this is so close to like, movies have been the kings for so long. They are the ultimate form of media. Anyone can watch a movie. Not everyone is gamers. You could do so much with movies. They're, I wouldn't say easier to make, but they're just a different process, you know? But, all the love that went into this game, like, it's phenomenal. Yeah. I had a great time, and I know that other people that have played have also had a great time and will have a great time, and you know, granted, it is hard to overlook the whole negative aspect of this game specifically, but really, I mean, dude, it's not hard to overlook that too. I really like this game because it's like, you know what, dude? Just because you're finding reasons to not like it, or there's always something positive in everything. There's always peace and love, and in every experience, every angle, everything in life. Somehow, being alive is as much proof as you need to know that, like, not everything is so dreadful. And I think this game really teaches you to kind of just get over that shit, you know? Like, fuck it, who cares? Go whine about it and cry about it. Just say fuck it and just do your thing. You shouldn't even have to be a decision of, like, you know, you shouldn't have to boycott this game. It's not like we're talking freedom here, or like a revolution or a rebellion, or you know, it's a fucking video game. So yeah, and it's funny because saying these things alone is kind of like, you know, when someone says to don't open this, don't press the big red button, I'm gonna press it. That is this game in a nutshell. Oh, what? Someone's giving me a reason to not play it? Well, guess what? I'm gonna play it. You know, in like reviews and stuff, like, oh, it was so bad, boo-hoo, don't play this, don't buy it, don't purchase it, don't waste your money, don't waste your time. Like, dude, fuck all that. Forget what other people say, have your own opinion, do your own thing, make your own choices. Just play the damn game. Fucking for real. But yeah. The Last of Us Part 2.